if you really get close to Jesus, it helps your mental health. If you get close to religion and control, it screws up your mental health. Well, hello, everybody out there in TV land. Mike Donahue here with Brian May. You are on Groomed in 10-ish. And so we are here midweek trying to break down what happened last weekend. We have over almost 900 views, Brian, of Julianna Morris's testimony / story. Awesome. We had some technical difficulties with you, but you got to watch the rest of it and got to interact a little bit with her. So what was your take? Like after you watched it fully, what was your take on that?
Well, if anybody was watching it, I don't know, I think it was about 32 minutes in. You could read my mind by just looking at my face. It was probably a gift from the universe to y'all who watch the podcast that my tech gave up the ghost and I had to sit on the sidelines for the last half because I was very by Julianna's testimony. Matter of fact, it took me 2 sittings to get through the whole thing. And the reason for that, Mike, was because it was just all too familiar. I just want to say right here, and I've said this to her personally, she gave a master class on what it's like to be in the master's cult. Like how I did that?
That was beautiful. Beautiful. You have a way with words, my friend.
But she did. She gave a master's class. Matter of fact, I would say if there's anyone out there who's in one of these sort of leadership schools, they call them now, I don't know, or if you know someone who's in one, or if you're a parent and your kids are asking you to send them there, I would watch this podcast and take notes and say, okay, hey, you know what? If any of these things are present in the situation you're in, run like hell, quite frankly. So I don't know. There were a couple of things that stood out to me. Should I just go ahead and hit those, Mike?
Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, the authority cult and culture that lives, especially within the evangelical charismatic church and the Assemblies of God, we've talked about it here, descends a lot from the what I will say is unbiblical teachings of Bill Gothard back in the day. And we all know he had his problems. And if you don't know that, then watch Shiny Happy People Season 1. It was almost as though if you were an authority, you can make up a rule and all of a sudden it's sacrosanct. For instance, you could say, you know what? When you enter the church, you're only allowed to enter with your left foot first, followed by your right foot. And the culture they created would intimidate people against questioning that, saying, well, you know, why? That's a stupid rule. And they would say, well, we're the authority. We have the right to make the rules. You know, I know there's a lot of room and a lot of argument, and you and I have had discussions about the relationship rules in Masters and those kinds of things. But I'm just going to say this. If you're going to make up a rule for young teens that, you know, they hold hands, you know, once or twice and they get the death penalty, I'm going to say you're probably a manipulative bastard. Can I say that word on here? Can I say bastard?
Yeah, well. We've said every other word, so.
Yeah. That's what I'm going to say. Now, if you want to say that, you know, we don't want you to date because we want you to concentrate on your studies and that kind of a thing, you want to encourage people to do that. I mean, I have my own opinion about that, but that's different than creating this stigma around doing something that it's a human thing for an 18 or 19-year-old to do, right, Mike?
Right. It absolutely is. And I ran a master's commission where we had that rule, but I really tried hard to enforce the heart of the rule, which was to get close to God. What I felt like she was saying was they were using that as manipulation. I don't know if you were part of this or not when no, I don't think you were, because I remember saying if Brian had heard this, he'd be really upset. Where they would make you confess your unholy thoughts to each other. Like you had to like write down and give them your weekly report of your sinful thoughts. I would have been kicked out the first week. Like, oh my God, like, are you serious? And then they would weaponize that information. That is not biblical at all. There's no. That's not what the scripture means when it says confess your sin to one another, you'll be healed. That's not what it's talking about. That's just pure manipulation, getting information to control.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
That is incredibly abusive, and frankly, I would have been out because I would have dropped the F bomb followed by you when they asked me to do that, because there's just no reason to do that, right? I mean, besides, it's like, again, you're 18, 19, you're going through a developmental stage in your life where those things are going to happen, and again, it's human. What they were asking of these kids wasn't to practice, have a healthy thought life. What they were doing was, just as you said, they were mining them for information that they could turn around and use against them. And that is heinous, and that is a cult practice. And let me just say something. When I say a cult, I'm saying the article A and the word cult. Some people have a problem because when they hear occult, like OCCULT, like they were worshiping, I don't know, the devil or whatever. No, we're talking about a cult. We're talking about a system that is built around abuse and manipulation and control and mind control, being run by a leader that is there to use people for their own benefit, whatever that might be. And I thought Juliana did a great job of outlining what a cult that situation was. And yeah, you're right. I'm glad I wasn't on during that, because at that time in the podcast, I mean, I'm not proud of this. I mean, one of the things I'm learning, Mike, is that anger is a healthy emotion that helps us to set boundaries, and we shouldn't let it jump in the driver's seat and drive. But sometimes I'm sliding over, dude, because just, it's intense. I'm not justifying it. I'm just saying it's the way it is. Yeah, that was the ultimate wickedness. But there were so many things that she was saying that were familiar to both of us, right? We'd seen them, we'd experienced them. I think one of the most heinous things that she does, and I want to be careful how I say this, because I think every human being, no matter how evil and wicked they are, still retains some sort of inherent value and worth, no matter how much they piss it away by being the way these people are. But I want to say that this is some of the worst kind of human behavior I had ever heard of in my life, short of all of the things that we could talk about. I mean, short of things that happened under Pol Pot and Nazi Germany and that kind of thing. I'm talking about the things that happen in your neighborhood, right? This is some of the worst kind of human behavior. But I thought it was interesting. And the reason I asked her the question was because we both experienced that. But she talked about when she got disciplined and they were thinking about sending her home, I think, if I recall correctly. And I asked her, I said, so did you often find her coming around after that, after someone would deliver the bad news, and she would come in underneath that and say, "Oh, honey, I love you. I'm for you. I'm working for you." And her eyes lit up like, "Yeah, yeah, that's the way it worked." And again, some of you people who have been around her or people like her, I want you to search your memory, because I guarantee you, if you were around her enough, that happened to you. She played both ends against the middle. And that is again, Mike, that is a very cult, CULT like tactic. And they were practicing it there under her leadership. And I mean, out of her own blessed little mind, right there on those kids. And the reason was, again, that the sole purpose was to manipulate those folks.
Yeah, 100%. I just got off the phone tonight, right before we get on here recording, with a girl, and I can't unpack who she is yet, but she may come on our podcast. But she was in the inner circle with Jeannie, and I haven't even had a chance to tell you this, off camera yet, but I could not believe what I was hearing. I mean, I can, because we've been hearing all this stuff, but she was brutal to girls. I mean, she was really brutal to women. And I honestly think this. I think she brought a lot of pretty girls around so she could get pretty boys around. I mean, because she really did not care about those girls. I mean, she was brutal to them. She would say things that were just absolutely heinous, especially if you went against her, or if you didn't play the game of the emotions. You didn't rub her feet in the middle of a room full of a bunch of people. I mean, she was diabolical to women, and I think that was very purposeful, because she was jealous of them. She needed them to bring the boys in, but she was jealous of them, and she would use really mean things to say to control them, to get them to work harder, to get them to do things. I mean, one girl, wanted to go to a family situation that was like a graduation, and they would, unless she could be back at that Sunday night for service, then she couldn't go. And the girl, I mean, it was just awful. Like the guilt. I want to go be with my family because it's a family thing. It's a graduation. It's important for my family. And there was nothing special going on at the church. Jeannie just wouldn't let her go.
Yeah.
Are you serious? I mean,
Yeah.
and she preaches balance, like we love your family and we, family
Right.
first and all this other crap. And it's a lie. It's such a controlling atmosphere. You're absolutely right. It's a cult.
Yeah. And that, what she did to that girl, the story you just told, is tantamount to saying to someone, here, take a shovel and dig a hole. And then saying, okay, I want you to dig a hole right next to it and fill the other hole up. That's
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
It's just an ability to exert control and to demonstrate how much control you have.
Right. It's control
Over
for control's sake. That's what
it
it
is.
is.
It is. And we're going a little long. We're a little more ish than 10 right now, but I do want to bring up one more thing. I hope everyone who watched the podcast saw the emotion that came across a couple of times with Julianna. And I thank you, I'll say right here, because she'll watch this. Thank you for your honesty and your transparency. Because I think if you watch that and you've been in that situation, that gives you a place that you can connect to. Because I don't know how many years ago this happened with her. I mean, obviously it was before 2020. So it was over 5 years ago. I don't remember the dates. It was just an illustration about how deeply these things impact people and how they carry with them. And she is a very bright, very intelligent, very put together person. Yet these things, they find a root. They leave deep scars. And I really appreciate the fact that she talked about how, I mean, it made me angry that she went to a church program to learn how to minister to pastors' kids, and she walked away in need of therapy. It made me very angry. However, it also made me very grateful that she had the wisdom to seek out that therapy and that she wasn't ashamed to seek out that therapy in order to get healed. And I think all of us who have experienced that, there are various ways to process that pain that resides within us. And I think finding a healthy way to do that is really important to get free from all of that. So, and I just think that she was a great example of that. I think her testimony was just absolutely fantastic. So if you watch this and you haven't watched her podcast, please go watch it. It was excellent. It was 5-star.
Yeah, it was great. You and I have been talking to people for the last couple of years since I started writing the book. I've probably talked, I'm going to say, to hundreds of people, phone calls, text messages, and the overall theme is I had to go to therapy. I had to go to therapy. I had to go to therapy. And so what you just said about, she goes to this church, this youth group where she's supposed to, get close to Jesus and if you really get close to Jesus, it helps your mental health. If you get close to religion and control, it screws up your mental health. And so that's what happened to her.
Right.
And her and countless others. And so that's tragic. It's tragic. And all of you that are still protecting her, shame on you. Like, you need to, I'm just going to say this. There's more coming. So those of you that are on that side where you're protecting her, I'm just going to give you a warning. There's more coming. Like, we are sitting on some information waiting for the right time and permission. You just need to understand you're going to look really foolish. I would get on the right side of this if I was you. That's all I'm going to say about that. Great. Groomed in 10-ish, baby. Woo!
Awesome.
See you guys Sunday. Tune in. 1:00. We changed it down to 1 now. So you guys have the afternoon to watch our podcast and learn so much from Brian and I. And whoever we have on as a guest.
That's right.
All right. We'll see you guys next week. See you Sunday.
See y'all. A few days. Bye.